Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I am good.
I will let you know my lawn guys just showed up, so I'm sorry if you can hear them.
Oh, I don't hear anything.
Okay. So today we're going to talk about substance abuse. Um, I think everybody has dealt with some kind of substance abuse in their lives or had somebody in their life,
I've been affected.
for sure.
Right, right.
So I did get some statistics we can go over from the National Center for Drug Abuse website. Um, and then we can just talk about it. So the first one says over half of people 12 and older have used illicit drugs at least once in their life.
Well,
Drug overdoses have killed over 1 million people in the US alone since 1999. 1 million. And you can imagine, I'm sure the number has gone up over the last probably few years with all of the borders being open and drugs coming into the United States. I'm sure the numbers are even
right. And well, and I think it's even been the amount has increased recently.
for sure.
I think for sure with the opioid situation more so, whenever I was when I was younger, more people were doing different things. It was a lot was marijuana. That was the primary thing probably, and then of course the cocaine and the methamphetamine, which I thought was probably going to be the worst, and I had no idea that it was not going to be the worst because I knew a lot of people on methamphetamine, and I still to this day nobody personally that I know has passed away from an overdose of methamphetamine. And I thought that was going to be what killed the whole damn world. I mean, I thought it was rat poison and it terrified me. But I think the opioid thing has for sure been really, really bad.
Yeah, and the drug that has killed the most over the last few years is fentanyl. So a couple of years ago, I was watching this woman. I don't remember what news channel it was on, but she was talking about how she had seen that you could get fentanyl online. And so they tested it to see, can you really go on these websites? And she did. That you
Really?
could. I mean, it's illegal, but there are places that you can actually access this online. That's scary.
No, it's so scary. And like you said, how I mean, a lot of to think how many people I know that have actually passed away from that. And I think we all know people who have passed away. And that's just crazy to me. It's really, and it's so scary because it's not something that people are buying on the street as much. I mean, it is.
Oh, it is.
No, I get you're right. See, it is, but it's also, this is a thing. Nobody ever went to the doctor and got methamphetamine from the doctor and then developed an addiction and started, right? I think
Hmm.
majority of, or still a lot of, and I don't know for sure, but a lot of the opioid things started from something prescribed.
Because you used to be able to just go in and have back pain or, um, you know, toothache or whatever, and they would just write you scripts. It was just an easy, it's not like that anymore. Even hospitals rarely write you opioids. because it got so out of control. It was so easy to just walk in and they just write a script for it and people would become addicted, and that's where it would start. And then when they couldn't get that anymore, that's when they would go
Mhm.
to the street drugs, you know,
Right, right, right.
so
But quite honestly, though, I got to tell you, many years ago, you did not get those written as a prescription. I mean, I know when my mom was very sick and she was in a lot of pain, that she could not get those prescriptions. You had to go into the hospital. And quite honestly, that kind of stuff was what they considered comfort care. That was end of life. That was literally keeping you comfortable as you drifted off. I mean, they weren't meant, in my opinion. I don't believe it was ever meant to just take every day at
yeah,
home, taking pills.
I don't know.
That's what I kind of feel like there was a time when they started really prescribing a lot of that.
And there are people who need it. I do want to say that too,
Right,
because there
right.
are people who actually need it who don't abuse it. And that is totally understandable. But on the other hand, there are people who don't, who then get addicted to it. When they can't get that anymore, then they move to, you know, street drugs.
Right. And then you don't really know what you're getting.
No.
That's
And
what I think is
nowadays,
really scary.
you know, when my son started work, my youngest recently, and I told him, I said, if you get a headache at work or anything, just call me and I will bring you Tylenol. Do not take anything from anybody. And he was like, Mom, I'm not stupid. And I said, I'm just, you might think it's a Tylenol, but it's not. You just never know. And it's sad that we have to be that way, but
That's
you
wild
do.
because how many times would you not just, I mean, my whole life, if you needed a Tylenol and someone had, you would ask people, do you have one? And I haven't thought about that though, but you're right.
No, you know what? I've heard of so
Wow.
many stories just since moving to Arizona of kids who bought I don't even remember what, but it's, a pain pill, a narcotic pain pill, like I can't think of the name, but the parents went in to check on them and they were dead. They had bought just, thinking, or I need to stay up for a test. So they bought, something from one of their friends, and it was laced. It wasn't the real thing, or it was laced with fentanyl, and they were
Yeah.
dead in a blink of an eye. So it's just, you just have to nowadays. It's so sad that you do have to be that way, because like you said, you never thought twice about it when you were younger. If I had cramps and my friend had something, Tylenol, or
Right.
you just took it, you just
Right.
trusted that it was Tylenol. You never thought. It's not like that anymore, and it's very
I mean, I
sad.
never would want to just take something that I never would have thought about. Just, oh, somebody just has something, go ahead and take it. But Tylenol,
Well,
Midol
that's what
back in
I,
the day
yeah,
for sure, right? But
right.
yeah, see, I just, wow, yeah, that's really that's really scary. That's a very scary. But good thing you said that. You're so
Yeah,
right.
it's just very scary that kids have access to all of that so easily nowadays. The big thing when I was growing up was marijuana. Like
Right.
that was the big, there wasn't people taking pills and people, like you said,
Yeah.
meth, things like that. That was never even thought about.
No, I can't. It scares me really bad. And obviously, obviously, that we lost our son to that. Um, and it's a really, what a shame. What an absolute, obviously it's a shame. It's horrible. It's heartbreaking. It's everything. Um, but people don't even think about, he wasn't like some thug on the street
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like he had a good job and did very well at it. He was a smart kid. He was a good kid, and get hooked on something like that. And it's just crazy to me because, like I said, I grew up in the age where a lot of people I know, a lot of people that I knew ended up really ruining their lives with meth. They did. I know a lot of people who just really ruined their lives, but I don't know anyone who died from it. I just don't. And you look at this opioid thing, and I know people. Obviously, I know people who have died from it, and I also know people who've had just really horrible things happen. You know, like you said, who has not been affected by some of this?
Yeah. Yeah. You said with your son, he wasn't a thug on the street. And so that was my biggest thing when my oldest son, he was captain of the football team, straight A student, very popular in school, friends with everybody. He didn't care who you were, what group you were with. He liked everybody. He was liked by everybody. And he had a back injury and started to help himself to take away the pain and get stuff from other people. And I had no idea. His grades never changed. He was still playing football. The only difference that I ever saw in him was he was snapping at me, and he never did that. Never. But I just thought it was teenage boy stuff. I never thought anything of it. And then his coach actually had been out. He had back surgery, and he had been out, and he had come back, and he noticed the difference. And so he called my son in, and my son told him that he had been self-medicating. And so he said, "Are you going to call my mom?" And he said, "No, you're going to go home and you're going to talk to her." So he did. And I have said that we got him help right away, and he's been fine since. The kid won't even take Tylenol because of that. But I have told everybody, you never think it's going to happen to you. And you think that's what, like how you said, he wasn't a thug. No, my kid was captain of the football team. He was a straight A student. I never thought that would happen.
Right.
Never.
Right.
Never. You can never be too sure, and that's the thing. And unfortunately for my situation, there really weren't any signs. There really wasn't. Nothing changed in him, other than sometimes his attitude. But again, I just thought it was teenage, hormones. You know what I mean? I didn't think.
Right.
So lucky for us, we got him into treatment right away, and it did help him. But I have always said that, like, it can happen to anybody.
Don't. No, it does. It hits every graphic, it's not necessarily, and it's not where I guess my thinking is like a lot, like we talked about people. When I was a teenager, it was marijuana. Everybody was smoking marijuana, and then maybe you kind of graduate into this or that. The opioid thing, I think, it's different. It's not even like
you'll be surprised because the National Center for Drug Abuse statistics, the highest percentage of people use marijuana. That is the highest drug used in America is marijuana.
Even over opioids. But do you think I hate to say the word gateway, because that, a lot of people would say a gateway to drug, if marijuana is a gateway to bigger drugs or whatever, I guess. But I feel like that was kind of the case, but I don't think that people smoked pot and then they started doing, you know, cocaine or whatever. And then they started, you know, taking this or that because it was a drug. It was a party, whatever, right? The opioid is different, like, because like we said, you get it from a doctor.
But it's not, I don't think you realize it's not that easy to get anymore, Jackie. Like that was an issue 5 years ago. It is not that easy to get pain medication anymore from your doctor. It really isn't. I mean,
Well, I
maybe
hope not. I hope
I mean,
not.
there are doctors, obviously, who, you know, um, I'm sure write easily, but there are so many things in place to even get them from a doctor now. Some insurances won't even cover, you know, they'll only cover for a certain amount of time if you're having a surgery. Or I know that
Right, right.
Walgreens and CVS both got sued over filling too many. It's not as easy as you think it is.
Well,
It really
it
isn't.
was really bad for a while there with that. What did they call them? Pill mills or something?
Yeah, the
Um,
pain doctors.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
I know that got to be, well,
But they
that
started
became criminal. That became
and they
criminal.
started shutting them down, and
Right.
you know, they were losing their licenses because literally people could just walk in there and they would just write for whatever. But
Well,
I
so
would
my
say,
thinking about this is that my opinion, and this is just my opinion,
right.
because like I said, I did see this happen with my mom where she did not get those kind of drugs at home. She would have to go into the hospital. I remember it vividly. I was very young, but I remember it very,
Yeah,
very
because
well.
that was what? How many years ago was that?
So in 1979, 1980,
Okay, okay.
she could not, I mean, I very much remember her saying, she just she didn't want to go in the hospital. And so, but she would be in such severe pain and you could not get that kind of medication.
Hmm.
I remember it very clearly. I can remember to this day, she could have Tylox is what it was called at home. In the hospital, she had morphine and that kind of stuff. And again, that was comfort care. That was end of life care. That's because there's nothing more you can do. And then they started where then they were just giving people that kind of stuff at home.
Well, yeah, because they need it. I mean, I know that's your opinion. My opinion differs because there are some people who actually need it. And like when my
Right.
mom was dying of cancer and was in so much pain, she was able to you didn't have to go in the hospital to get it. When my best friend's mom was dying of cancer, she had fentanyl patches that she would get put on. And we would, I actually put one on her one of the times because my best friend lives in another state and I was in the state at the time that her mom was in, and I had to put gloves on to put this patch on her mom. Um, so I know that,
Yeah,
like,
Mr. Snotty's first wife, she had that too. She had suckers
mhm.
like that with that. No, no, and I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying we went drastically from you could not till all of a sudden anybody could get it.
Mhm.
Not because obviously we went beyond people who actually need it. You know, and to me that was a pharmaceutical thing. The pharmacy, you know, they started really pushing these kinds of things. I mean, that's what you've seen in some of these cases with there have been some people come out like salespeople for pharmaceuticals coming out saying how they did do that. They did push
Mhm.
these things. Um, you know, they gave people all kinds of incentives to push these, doctors to push these
Well,
things.
they do that with all medication. Yeah. Yeah, your
Right,
flu
right.
shot. Your doctors that are pushing these flu shots, it's because they're
Hmm.
getting a cut from it.
Right, right. No,
You
it's
know?
no,
Yeah.
that's true. No, it's true with all of them. You're right. And I
Mhm.
always used to say that. I used to say this because one time I took my son to get a physical for football. We weren't there because he had a pain or anything. It was a regular physical. And when we left there, I said to my son, did he say a leave like 55 times? What the hell was that? I mean, I felt like I was literally just in this commercial for a leave. And I was like, that is so weird. We did not go in there saying that we had any pain at all. So why the hell we heard about a leave so many times? It just felt uncomfortable. And right then I was like, this is a long time ago, but I was thinking, they push some of this stuff, man. That's wild, because he clearly wanted us to take that. That was nuts. But yes, so they've done it with all of them. I get that. But whenever you're talking about something so dangerous, it's very upsetting to me that there were people really, really pushing these things. And I do, it's with anything though, right? Everything gets abused. And this is what this is all about, right? Abusing things. And anything can become, it can be abused, right? We can become addicted to a lot of things. I like to tell my story about being addicted to ice. Well, but at least it wasn't, like causing me to not be able to drive a car and not pay the rent. So some of it obviously is more harmful, but what I think I'm afraid of with this stuff is, for one thing, I'm very happy. Anytime I've ever been prescribed anything like that, I never would even fill the prescription, because I was always afraid to not feel like right. I was afraid I didn't want to feel weird, I never liked that. So anytime I had surgery or whatever, I wouldn't even fill those prescriptions. And I'm really happy. I never thought about this kind of thing before. I really didn't, back a long time ago. But I think that it's something so easy to be, obviously, right? It's obviously such an amazing feeling at some point.
Well, I think that's with anything though. Alcohol, drugs. I mean, that's with any substance, is easy and it's bad for you. I did want to tell you though, they say marijuana is the most used, which again, to me, marijuana has been used medically. And, I don't think if you smoke marijuana, you're going to go on to cocaine. I definitely have never felt that. I know people who have smoked their whole lives and have never done anything else, not drank alcohol, not, done any major drugs. But the lowest percentage of people in the United States use meth.
Really?
So yeah, just because meth came up earlier, I wanted to make sure I brought, So the most is marijuana, the least is meth. This is since 2024.
Well, I think really because I was saying that earlier I was saying that, marijuana was a gateway. I think really the way I feel about that, I think I didn't say that right. I feel like if you use cocaine, you probably had smoked pot, right? But if you take an opioid, you may not have smoked pot. Right? I mean, does that make okay, this is what I'm thinking about. So like a friend of mine I ran into actually not long after we had lost our son. And I hadn't seen her for years. And so we were catching up, and I was telling her about, Danny, and she was telling me that about a family friend of hers and she said like her families had grown up together. Like the parents were good friends, all the kids, they vacationed with them. They just spent, so much time with them. She said he was very, very successful man, had a great life. Well, he had an accident. He got on, was given an opioid for pain, and then he got addicted. And she said he's now like he's homeless, and their whole family, everything's ruined from this, right? So what I mean about it, I guess, is like those kind of things. These were people who may never have done a drug in their whole life.
But then you have people who actually need it and don't become addicted too. You have to look
Right.
at it from both sides, because I know how you feel about them. You've been very open about it, but I feel a lot different when it comes to that, because I do live with chronic pain, and that can be debilitating, and I know people who live with chronic pain who have these diseases that if they didn't have something, they probably wouldn't get out of bed, so
Well, and I
what
don't
my
think that
doctor.
it's not that I'm not trying to say people shouldn't have it. What I'm saying is methamphetamine is never prescribed to you,
Mm-hmm.
ever, where that is prescribed to you. I mean, I'm really not trying to be the world doctor and say that people do or don't need it. It scares the shit out of me more than anything. It's not that I'm not saying that people don't need it. Obviously, there's a reason for it. I'm simply saying that some people get on that never would have done a drug in their life. And next thing you know, they're addicted to it.
Yeah. What
Where,
my doctor
if you
told
were
me.
on the other things, you were trying to do drugs. If you're on methamphetamine, you're trying to do drugs, and you get
Mhm.
addicted. With this, I'm saying it's just something that people weren't out trying to get high.
Right.
They were just trying to handle pain.
Yeah.
So that's my only thing, is that it can start out from something where you were not trying to be, like what I was saying before, like a thug, or, and I don't necessarily mean it to be ugly like that way either, but it's just something that you were never, that you weren't trying to be high. You just got
Mhm.
addicted. Where other drugs, you're trying to be high. That's the
Right.
intent from the get-go. That's really all I mean. I don't mean to say that some people don't need it.
Yeah.
I know some people live with horrible pain. I
Yeah,
understand that.
I'm one of
And
them. And I will tell you that it scared me too, and I even told my doctor years ago, because with my disease it does become crippling, it can. And I told him
right,
years ago, you know, I don't I don't ever want to take that. And he said to me, "You will not become addicted if you take it when you need it. You don't wake up in the
right,
morning and go, I need to go take this pill because I don't want to be in pain today." No,
right,
you take it when your pain gets to like a 4 or a 5, then you take it before the pain gets to a 9 or a 10, and so it'll help
right,
it.
right.
It'll at least take, but you don't take it every day. You know what I mean? You don't, he said, you will never become addicted if you take it just when you need it. And
As
so for
needed.
me, that has worked. I don't even always have a prescription for pain meds, because in the summers, especially, I really don't need it that much. I have a really high pain tolerance. I can deal with it for a long time before I can't. You know what I mean? So for
Right.
me, I don't need it. But there are days I do need it. And I do a lot of natural things. You know that.
I was going to say
Um,
you do. Right.
I
For
do.
sure.
I really try to go that route because I know that what I have is not curable. I know I'm going to live with it for the rest of my life, and I'm not that old. You know what I mean? So putting all of that stuff in my body, I don't want to, because I know what it
Right.
can do to your liver and your kidneys, and so I
Right.
really try not to. So my point was, I totally get where you're coming from and your fears of it. I just wanted to show it from the other side too,
Right. Right.
because there are people who do sometimes need it, who will never get addicted, who don't get high off of it, or you know what I mean? That I
Right.
just wanted you to understand that side of it. I totally understand, because I was you too. I said that to my doctor the first time he said, I think we need, to write you something stronger. And I said, no, I don't want to get addicted. Not that I don't drink. I don't drink alcohol. I don't smoke. I don't, weed. I don't do anything. I don't have an addictive personality. I wasn't worried about that. I just didn't want my body to get addicted to something. That is what I was afraid of. And so then he explained to me, no, it won't. And let me tell you, over the years, when I've had to get a prescription, it has been the same low dose, 3.5 milligrams, very small, and I only take a half. And I've never had to take, because I don't take it on a daily. Your body will get immune to it
Right.
if you take something day after. Then you need something stronger, then something stronger.
Well, that's
I've never
just
had
it,
to
right?
change that. So
That's just it. That's what
Yeah.
happens too, is then, you can't get prescribed enough because
no,
you're taking more than you're supposed to, and you're going to run out of, all of that. So yeah, no, and that does go with everything. Everybody, if you have addictive personality, like I said, you can be addicted to a lot of things.
and yeah, I mean, really.
Chocolate,
I was just gonna say food. I mean, candy.
right? Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
really, I did want to say one more thing. I wanted to share the National Substance Abuse and Mental Health Helpline. It's
Okay.
confidential, free, 24/7, 365 days a year. They'll help you with treatment referrals, and they'll help you with information on getting help if you do have, a problem and you do want help. You can call them 24/7, 365 days a year. The number is 1-800-622-4357. It's 1-800-662-HELP, HELP. So I did want to share that, because if you or someone has a problem and you need some referrals or some help for treatment centers in your area, that's a great number to call.
Yeah, and we'll put that in the description too. And yeah, I think that's probably what's really terrifying about it, is that, and it can happen to anybody. And it is, it is really scary. And everybody should try really hard to, I mean, I don't know what you do. Like it's a scary thing. I've known a lot of people with problems with that. And, I think it's really scary these days, because some of these rehabs have turned to some kind of, I don't know, they're going in the right direction with it, right? Like everything, things get abused, things get, money tends to create situations. So I think some of these places, their intentions don't end up coming out. The intent, they go a different direction, right? Becomes a business, and it's about money. It's not necessarily about helping people get off of stuff. Some of these things, they're sober livings or something. Some of these places, they've just become different, I think, in recent years, because we had such an epidemic of people on it, and so it got kind of carried away. So I am afraid of some of the recovery places. And I think that, but what people, like you said, with this hotline, if you can find even someone to talk to about it, a friend, a family member, try to get help, do whatever you can. I don't have any answers on trying to help people get off of it. I don't know.
I will say there are some great treatment centers. There's not enough for kids.
Right.
Sadly, there aren't. I dealt with that. But there are some really great treatment centers out there that you don't even have.
I think there probably are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sure there are. Obviously there are, right?
Yeah.
But I do know that some of these things are being run. People are even doing them out of their homes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so, right, some kind of programs, those scare me a little bit. But then again, I've never been to one. I don't have any experience with one. These are just things I've kind of looked into. Um, and they've been abused. But it's like everything, right? It's probably just like everything. Things just happen like that. But yeah, I do hope, I think that just prayer does a lot of it too. That's my thinking. And I really am, prayers go out to everybody who's dealing with it in any way. Even the people not on it, it takes a big toll on people's lives that are not taking it, just having it somebody else in their life
Mm-hmm.
on it. That's really hard on a family in general, right?
Yeah.
It's sad.
Yeah. It's hard. So, okay. Well, that's about all I have for today.
That's my big fat mouth take on it.
Okay, and we will put the phone number in the description. So
Yes,
that
absolutely. Absolutely.
easy to
And
find.
I wish everybody luck with that. Prayers and everything, because it's a very difficult thing, and I'm sorry for anybody going through it. Truly
Yeah,
sorry.
same. And we'll see you on the next one.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. Bye.
To the end. Yeah, you're really one of us now. Laughing through the chaos. Hanging for the last. Wow.